Good evening, everyone. My name is Amina Whelan. I'm the president of Soroptimist of International Farmington Valley in Connecticut. This is my pleasure to host tonight's session, Fearless Storytelling, presented by Kathy McAfee. And as Kathy mentioned, tonight's section is being recorded, and the replay will be shared on the Fearless Leader community and on our Soroptimist Farmington Valley Facebook page. And tonight we'll be giving 3 books of Kathy's Stop Global Boring, inscribed and mailed to our lucky winners throughout the section. So please pay attention. And we'd love to have a Soroptimist on the call to use the emoji and say hi to each other.
Now that's fun.
Yeah, that's a little warming up here. All right. And also, thank you for Tracy, even though she's not feeling well tonight, but she is on the call and she's our members to help us to track our messages. And I also recognize our club members joining tonight. And thank you for all of you joining tonight. And on the call, we have a mixed audience tonight. So I want to take a little moment and indulge me to share with you about Soroptimist International of Americas and a brief story of my story of being a Soroptimist. So Soroptimist International of Americas, we call it SIA in short, is a global volunteer organization that serves members included from North, South, and Central America and countries along the Pacific Rim, providing women and girls with access to education and training they need to achieve economic empowerment. Soroptimist means best for women, and that is what we strive to be. Women at our best, investing in other women and girls so they can be the best. And I want to quote a report from SIA about our vision in the next 10 years, which quote, today with our clubs and leaders, we defined our 2021 to 2031 big goal of investing in the dreams of 500,000 women and girls through access to formal education. This ambitious goal will increase our collective impact by helping four times the number of women and girls facing obstacles to economic empowerment compared to the prior decades. We remain committed to working together to reach our big goal through the Live Your Dream Awards, Dream It Be It, and Big Goal Accelerator projects. At the end of the club year of 2023-24, we have reached over 92,000 women and girls through increased access of formal education. That is about 18.5% of our big goals total. And we know that more work to be done. And it will be a long-term commitment for us. Well, let me give you a brief story about me. My Soroptimist journey started in 2015 when I received the Live Your Dream Award, which provided financial support I need to complete my associate degree at that time. Well, that opportunity was life-changing. It opened doors, gave me the confidence to keep going. With the encouragement, inspiration of a Soroptimist, I went on to earn 2 more degrees in higher education over the next 6 years. So today, I am proud to be served as the president of our Farmington Valley Club, participating in our SIA Leadership Fellows Program, and contribute to the members of our SI Governance Documents Task Force. My experience demonstrates the ripple effects of investing in education. It doesn't just transform one life, it also strengthens families, communities, and future generations. Well, in addition to our education-focused program, our clubs is deeply committed to community giving. Each holiday, we create a delivery holiday gift bags to local organizations serving women, girls, and families in need. These bags are more than just gifts. They are messages of care, dignity, and hope, seeing the smiles on faces of women and the girls and family we serve. These are priceless, and these are messages. It's a powerful messages. Remind that women and support them, and the impact is very impactful and lasting. Well, I'm stopped my story.
Downstairs. I think it's time for a raffle.
Do you want to? Absolutely. Here's the moment. It's the moment.
Okay, so I noticed the first one to log in that wasn't a member of Soroptimist International of Farmington Valley was Lisa. Lisa Milano.
Lisa. All right.
All right.
So Lisa's going to get our first giveaway of Kathy's book, Stop Global Boring.
Yes.
The title that makes you laugh every time you say it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This is my first book I got from Kathy.
I remember I was at the award ceremony when Amina won the Live Your Dream Award. And so we got all sorts of goodie packs. And to see her grow and lead is truly remarkable and a testament to the mission of Soroptimist. Well done.
All right, thank you. All right, well, let's jump right into introduce Kathy. I want to talk a little bit about Kathy and I think about what impactful when we're creating this presentation. Stories. We all have stories. Small story, big stories, stories. Stories are so impactful. And those stories are actually underused in the leadership tools. Whether you're leading a team, advocate for everybody, or growing in business, stories matters. So today we have Kathy's here to share with us some practical tips to use fearless storytelling tips to increase our leadership influence, connect more of our authentic self, and also communicate clearly, confidently with purpose. And Kathy, please indulge me to introduce you. Kathy McAfee, America's marketing motivator, is an author, executive coach, and mentor dedicated to unlocking leadership potential. After 20 years global career in brand marketing in sales, she founded KMC Brand Innovation LLC in 2005. Kathy created the Fearless Leader program during the pandemic to empower more women to lead and strengthen leadership diversity. A Stanford graduate and ovarian cancer survivor, Kathy brings resilience, authentic self to her work. Kathy also is a co-author of Fearless Female Leaders, Story and Strategies to Empower More Women to Lead. And she also wrote Stop Global Boring that some of you may receive it tonight, challenging leaders to ditch those doubt moments in communication and embracing and meaningful connections. And Kathy is also our members since 2005. She continues championing program and uplifting women and globally. And at the heart of Kathy's message is fearless storytelling. Leaderships today is not just about strategy. It's about story. When leaders share stories with purpose, they inspire others, trust, spark actions, and making lasting change. Kathy equipped leadership to transform presentation from boring to bold and conversation to transactional and transformation. It is not about perfection, but this is about connections. It is about fearless. Please welcome Kathy McAfee.
Thank you. Thank you, Amina. Woo, love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for coming tonight. Thank you for Tracy and to Amina for organizing this. It takes a lot to show up these days. So I'm really grateful that you are all here, spending your time getting to know some other fearless and fabulous women. So please use the chat liberally to connect and communicate with each other. So before I dive in to the nitty-gritty of storytelling skills, I want to share my own Soroptimist story. Several years ago, well, probably many years ago, my next door neighbor in Connecticut invited me to a meeting. Not just once, she had to keep inviting me to this Soroptimist information meeting. And I didn't know what a Soroptimist was, but I knew Marilee was very involved. But every time she asked me, I had a different excuse. I'm too busy. Oh, I have a conflict tonight. I'm starting a new business. Oh my God, life is so overwhelming. Really, I was just protecting my time and putting up the force field of don't get involved. But Marilee was a very persistent person and Soroptimist. And eventually I caved and I said, all right, I'll go. I don't think I said it like that. I said, yes, I'll go. I'll go. And so I remember walking into the beautiful, well-appointed, gorgeous, and beautifully run Simsbury Public Library when Susan Bullock was in charge. And they had this wonderful meeting room, and the Soroptimist had organized the seats in a circle. So there was no barrier to us. I thought that was very intriguing. But still, you're walking into a room with strangers. Do you belong? Do you not belong? You're just always going to get that nervousness, right? That little feeling like you want to bolt. But I sat down and took my seat, and they went around the room and we introduced ourselves, sharing our name, what we did for a living, why we were here. So when it was my turn, I, of course, said, hi, I'm Kathy McAfee, and I've just started a new business as a marketing consultant. And in fact, I'm looking for new clients. And blah, 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 whatever else came out of my mouth. The woman next to me turned out to be very formidable in my life. Her name was Dr. Leora Burns. And she said, well, I'm Dr. Leora Burns, and I own an optometry practice. And I happen to be looking and needing a marketing consultant to help me grow my practice. And we first had to laugh out loud. We turned, we smiled, we shook hands, and a beautiful relationship began that night at that information meeting. In fact, my connection and my experience with Dr. Burns on that first project 20 years ago helped lead me to my brand, which is now known as America's Marketing Motivator. And yes, Leora still takes credit for that. Why not share the credit? All right, but here's the important part. I didn't go to that meeting to hustle new business, right? I did want to learn, what is this Soroptimist? How do you pronounce it? What does it mean? What do you all do? I wanted to learn more about the organization. And I joined that night just based on that first experience. 20 years later, what has transformed in me and what I have gained is not just that first new client, but deep, lasting personal relationships. Knowledge and empathy that you can't buy. I learned in my meetings about the issue of domestic violence. I didn't know it. It has no boundaries from a socioeconomic or race point of view. It is everywhere. I also had the opportunity to study and learn about human trafficking, and I actually met a woman who was a survivor. That transformed me. And I went from judging issues that I didn't know about and hadn't lived to really understanding that we needed to do something about this. So it helped evolve me as a human being. Now, I also learned how to raise money. I learned how to boldly and fearlessly ask for money and donations. That certainly helped me in my career. And I learned how to lead and support with confidence and courage. And all that growth, all that personal and professional development started with one simple yet fearless decision. The decision to go to that meeting and to say yes and become a Soroptimist. So I showed up just like you showed up tonight, a step in the right direction. So here's the point of my story and why I'm telling you this tonight. As women, especially leading organizations, businesses, families, ourselves, our lives, we are all leaders. We are very busy. Would you agree? Give me a thumbs up, like overwhelmed, busy. And therefore we're kind of careful, right? We're kind of managing all these resources and demands on our life. We've got to protect our time and energy. And sometimes that caution turns into reluctance. And we keep our hands down. We kind of pull ourselves back from the leadership opportunity. We say no, or she had a half-hearted yes, right? And regret it and really don't ever engage. We quietly disqualify ourselves from opportunities that would really make a difference, not just in other people's lives, but in our lives and our futures. And I share this with you, and I'm connecting this to what we're doing tonight because I certainly would love for some of you to say yes and become a Soroptimist and have a growth journey like I did with this amazing organization. But I also wanted to use this to demonstrate fearless storytelling, the power of telling story, to make a point, to motivate people to action, and to have them rethink where they are right now. Which brings me to you. What action would you want your audience, your listeners, your team to take on? What kind of action are you trying to inspire and motivate? And what story could you tell that would make them interested in taking that action and make it worthwhile for them? It's kind of why I ended up with the subtitle of Stop Blow Boring: How to Create Engaging Presentations that Motivate Audiences to Action. Because as leaders, we got to get people to follow. We got to get people to do stuff, right? Not just sit there and listen. So let me pause for a minute now that I've told you my long and hopefully very interesting story. I would love to get some feedback. So I'm curious. I'm going to post this just in the chat right now. And you can give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got to find it in my scroll of notes. And yes, I have prepared and written out my script. I've practiced once, but it rolls differently when you do it live, right? So here it is. I'm curious to know what you remember most from my story. What could you relate to? Was there a moment that surprised you or pulled you in? And I also want to know, when did you check out, get bored, start thinking about dinner and tomorrow's activities? Like, when was the distracted moment? So I'd love to hear just from 2 or 3 people, or if you want to pop it in chat. Your feedback is a gift to me. So give me some feedback. Anybody want to unmute? Elizabeth, I see you unmuting.
Yeah, I like how you were saying with your storytelling, what is your ask for your audience? What is your point? Where do you want to go? And where are you trying to drive the conversation?
Excellent. Elizabeth, I've always thought of the presentation of any kind without an ask is a do nothing. Like, you don't have to do anything. It's okay. Just listen, just chat. Good observation. Thank you. Who else? Who wants to unmute? Linda Coveney, I see that your line is open. Great to
Okay.
see you.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say that what I think resonated the most with me is the importance of leaning in, saying yes, and learning,
Mm,
and then being able to share what you feel has high value to others.
that's great. That's like you just boiled down my key message beautifully. Thank you. That takes skill. Awesome. We have a couple comments in the chat from Nancy. Relate to your initial experience, your initial reluctance, how that experience opened up to many new opportunities. I like, says Tracy, that you say, don't just listen, lead people to action. And Wendy, you were brave when you introduced yourself and said what you were looking for. Yeah, that did take a moment of courage, right? Versus just not asking, not telling, having them read my mind. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, Peggy Budd, a nice insight. Remember that reluctance can turn into success, so being open pays off. Thank you. All right. So with this, I'd like to suggest that we give away another book. What about that? Tracy, Amina?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so I need people to put in the chat what your birthday is, but only if it's close to today. Is your birthday January 14th? Anybody?
Oh, got a February.
Oh, I got a January 10th. Oh, I think January 10th is pretty close.
Anybody beat January 10th within over or under 4 days?
The 14th.
Calling once. Oh, summer lady. Yeah. Going twice. All right, it's Valerie.
Valerie Sosi
Valerie
from Arizona.
January
Woo!
10th. Happy belated birthday.
Excellent. Super, super. Well, congratulations, Valerie. I know Valerie well. She's a graduate of the program, and she is an amazing leader within the Navajo and Native American communities, a great speaker, actually quite a good comedian too, and just a fireball of fearlessness and an intention and mission. So thank you for the work that you do. Okay. So I want to move on now to talk about the second half of the program, which I'm going to introduce two tools. There's two tools from this book. So this book has 12 tools, and then I added one after I published it. So I have a workbook that I'd like to give all of you for coming that has all of those tools inside of it. So actually, let me just gift that to you now. I'm going to go and copy and paste it if that's okay. I'm changing the brand a bit. I used to do this under the motivated presenter because people were always reluctant to give presentations. And again, they would keep their hands down and all that stuff and let everyone take all the opportunity for growth. So, but now that I am the fearless leader, I'm going to be changing it to the fearless presenter program. So here you go. I missed the B in bonus. This is the onus gift for all of you. So there is a Google link there that you can download the workbook. Or if you want the digital version of it, you can get the digital PDF writable toolkit, which is really great because you can just easily type into it as I did today and use selected tools or all of them, some of them. Clean sheet thinking is one of the key tools in that toolkit. So that is $19.97, and I put the link if you want to buy that. But that has been a game changer for me in getting me off procrastination, getting going, getting focused, get my message right, work on my stories, get that flow that some of you talked about, transitions, the order of things, all the technical bits and bobs. But mostly we just got to overcome the fear and procrastination and get her doneer, right? Get her doneer and be fearless in our storytelling. So moving on to part 2. So in the book, Stop Global Boring, you'll find these tools. And I've developed them over a number of years. I guess it's 20 actually, can you believe it? Of training. And I've trained insurance professionals. I trained people at Lego, hundreds of people at Lego, aerospace and defense, accounting firms. I mean, everybody in the professions and probably even at the dinner table has to lead a meeting or give a presentation in your career, right? And we usually fear it, and it's usually very boring. In fact, most of the people that I trained, they were brilliant in their subject matter expertise, polished, great leaders. But as Amina said, they were dull and boring. They showed too many slides. They gave too much data. They stuffed too much content into a small period of time. And they always seemed afraid to kind of break out of the norm, and they would just follow the leader and do all the boring stuff that the last person did. So it was like a borathon. They would read the slides. One CEO said, a readathon, I hate them. I hate going to readathons. Would somebody do something different? So I developed this creative training program, and we started looking at storytelling, using props, engaging the audience's senses. That's all the stuff you're going to find in the book. And yeah, you can do some slides, but don't hide behind your slides, right? Don't hide behind the podium. And in this case, don't hide behind the screen. In fact, let me just get myself a little big and large here. So if you ever notice in a Zoom session, when somebody puts up a slide, they become this small and the slide becomes this big. And you're, again, a disembodied voice. So I've just spotlighted myself for you, and it'll be on the video as well. I want to engage with you, not just my slides. So tonight I have 0 slides, and that is a success. So if you want to go slide free, PowerPoint free, sometimes I call it go naked, but you can't, clothing is suggested. It's super liberating. Okay, so how do you avoid being dull and boring? And that, I know that's kind of a heavy, like who wants to be, it's not your dull and boring, it's your presentations are dull and your messaging is boring. We can change that, we can fix that. So storytelling just spices it up. It just, people are hardwired for story. That's what my publisher, Henry DeVries, says. He says, storytelling helps persuade on an emotional level. And while you might think many of those CEOs and CFOs have no emotion, certainly no compassion, they do have emotions. They just hide them really, really well. So we can break through the armor of these people through our stories. Henry goes on to say, nothing is as persuasive as a storytelling with a purpose. And I would say, to me, my translation to that is a story with a point and a purpose, not just random storytellers. Now, here's a agree or disagree. I want you to pop this into chat. Agree or disagree. Women are natural storytellers. Agree. Agree, says Tracy, Elizabeth. Agree, Valerie. Now, if you think I'm being gender stereotyped, you just let me have it. Okay. Oh, not necessarily. I got that one. That's from Diane. Okay. Nancy, agree for some. Sometimes. Okay. Agree. And here's why I think that. I think that women are natural storytellers because when I look at how women use humor versus how traditionally men use humor, men use jokes. Punch, set up, punchline, very crisp. Everyone laughs out loud. Women tell stories to share and express humor. The funny thing happened to me on the way to work yesterday. 10 minutes later, I'm hoping you're laughing, right? And what I have seen in the workplace, which is male dominated still, I see women telling stories that take too long and men getting bored and they just switch off. And so our humor styles are different. And so I think it's really important that women learn how to not only tell stories and fearlessly, like overcome hesitation and be fearless in your storytelling, but also be able to tell a short, concise story with a point. In fact, I would say, let me see my quote here. It's in the book. It is anonymous, sadly. I don't know who said this, but it's brilliant. Never tell a story without making a point, and never make a point without telling a story? Thumbs up if you agree with that one or you like it. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so two tools, storytelling log and storytelling template. Okay, so they go hand in hand. I always start with the storytelling log. And let me just show you what that looks like. Shall I? All right, here we go. Make sure I'm all set up. Can you all see this? Thumbs up? Okay. Let me see if I can get it. Clean up my slide here a little bit. Where is my... Should have asked Tracy to help me because she is so expert at all these things. So I'm just going to hum while I find this. Okay, here we go. Hum, hum, hum. Hello. Okay, doesn't matter. Here we go. My story log. So this idea is whenever you're giving a presentation or even a meeting, you want to look at what kind of stories you could tell. Now, we all have stories like story that happened this morning, last week when we were 3, stories about our kids, about our colleagues, things we heard on the news, that's a story. But we also have points we need to make. So what points do I need to land in this meeting? So what I like about this, and I'm going to ask you to do an activity in just a while, is that you've got 2 columns and a lot of rows. You don't have to fill them all out. You can start in either column. Like, I really want to tell my Soroptimist story. Well, how does that Soroptimist story apply to when I go to AAUW or the Rotary or a workplace? So they have to kind of go together. So sometimes I populate my story side, my favorite stories, but mostly in business, I start with what points do I need to make? So I'm going to ask all of you to take out a sheet of paper or a little napkin or something, and I want you to create 2 columns, line down the middle. The left hand, stories I could tell. The right hand, points I could make. I'm going to just stop sharing for a second. Okay, everyone got that little piece of paper? Okay, or just like a little, maybe you're going to make a little 2-column note on your paper. So I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I want you to see either how many ideas you can come up with. How many story starts can you come up with? Okay, you don't detail the story. Don't go into, just headline it. My Soroptimist story, my kids' graduation story, the time I got fired, right? Just whatever it is, your story and what's the point of that story. Are you ready? Begin. 1 minute. 8 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Put your pencils down. Put your pencils down. Now turn your test over. Okay. I'm going to unspotlight myself because I want to see you guys. Okay. So I'm curious. What kind of stories did you think of? Unmute and just pop out. Peggy, what kind of stories came up on your sheet?
There, I unmuted. Actually, one of the first things that popped up was the story that I used when I did my TEDx talk, and how that was so important to set the stage, because my talk was about parents and teachers building relationships, and the story was about how I didn't come, it was about my daughter. And so the only slide I did in that was a picture of my daughter when she was 3. I mean, she's, oh no, 3 when she was, yeah, 3 with her blonde curly hair. And
Yeah.
so that really stood out to me as being really important, and
Excellent.
that you should really talk, I find that when I tell stories about my life, my family, that it makes that personal connection. So it's not, you're just not just, what should I say?
Business. Yeah, I love
Just
it.
kind of making a point. You're really making a point that's personal and connected. And I think those personal connections are very important.
Excellent. So stories about my family, my daughter, personal stories. Sorry about the misspelling there. What other kind of stories?
Right. I was thinking about family, and then sometimes I don't want to have people know about my personal life. So then I started thinking about my career and my stories there. I share a lot when I mentor people, how I got to
Excellent.
where I am.
Excellent. So stories about your career. What else? So we're kind of looking at categories of stories.
I have a story.
Who's this? Say your name too.
Mary Lynn Heiduke.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't really think too much of what kind of important story it could be until you spoke about having your stories make a point. And the point that I would make in telling this story is to look for signals. You don't have to always have a spoken word as a person's actions and the way they present themselves and whatnot could be it. But it's a story about my dog when my dog bit me and how my dog had given me signals more than once prior to the bite that occurred. So that's it.
Excellent. So that's great. So that, again, the story's about the dog biting her, but it's about the signals, nonverbal communication, not
Right.
just with animals, but with people too. That's
Yes.
a lot of, yeah, that's interesting. Excellent. Tracy, would you say story about life on the spectrum where the points would be one day at a time, semper cum agumbi, always flexible. Okay, awesome.
So came up with the point would be I do holistic teaching and mindfulness and work like that. So mindful living, enhancing life's enjoyment. And the story was going to talk about my experience burning out in the hospitals at points and being the girl with hair on fire.
You were the girl with the hair on fire? Is that the
Yeah,
name of the
when you're
story?
just running around and not grounded and just finding yourself pulled at both ends.
Yeah. You know what's wonderful about that is it's vulnerable. It's a story where you were not shining, you were not successful, you were not perfect, you weren't. It's like a real human hardship story, and people can relate to that. So awesome. So you guys have some story starts. Now I want to say you are so much more advanced than most of the people I have trained because this is the hardest part. They sit there with this tool and they go, I don't have any stories to tell. Like, have you been alive more than 5 minutes? Right? You have a million stories. So I want you all to be on the lookout for stories. And another good practice is when you're listening, oh God forbid, for the news. I don't want to bring up the news. Those are bad stories. But maybe reading a book or listening to a lecture or something, and somebody will give a topic and you'll listen for the story, but you can take their topic and then you can practice creating a story out of that topic. If you're running shy or you just can't seem to kind of come up with something, or maybe your kid says something or your colleague says something, these are all what I call story starts. So let me just say, here's what I believe your Hermione's bag of storytelling consists of. Stories from your past, personal or professional. Stories, events you have witnessed. Historical stories. Other people's stories. You can tell other people's stories. Now, you might want to get their permission, or you may need to mask their names and have the right intention. Don't be cruel. You can tell fables. And I actually believe you can make up stories. Fiction. I mean, think about fiction, the book category. They're making up stories and characters, and it's fascinating. I have one of my storytelling gurus who says a story doesn't have to be 100% factual, but it does have to be based in truth. So this idea, and we're probably hearing a lot of lies and people are fabricating stories that don't exist. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like a little creative liberty can make the story more interesting, leaving some things out, including others, combining characters. You can do a lot, but don't hold yourself to the linear truth. You're not reporting, you're storytelling. Okay? All right, so we've done that. So any questions on this very simple tool? Actually, I want to show you what I did too, just to show you I use my stuff. I use my stuff. Because when I get stuck, I use the stuff. Okay, so here's what I did. So I took the 3 points that Amina and I decided would be your outcomes. This is what we're promising you will get from coming to today. Leadership, influence, and impact, connecting more authentically with others, communicating clearly, and confidence and purpose. And I did them in the order that they were written. So then I just said, okay, what story could I tell that could, actually I have these backwards, don't I? That's funny. I did the wrong order. So this one should be over here. This one should be over here. So I thought that leadership, influence, and impact. I thought about my YWCA Hartford famous green shoes story that I told and raised an unprecedented amount of money. I used a prop and a story, and we broke the history of the contributions individually. Even got a brand new donator to write a $10,000 check on the spot. And while we didn't get videotaped, I did do a post video and a training. So I'll share that with you later. So I put that one. Then I said, okay, communicating more authentically with others. That's when I said, well, my Soroptimist story would be a good one for that. And then communicating with clarity, confidence, and purpose. I don't know. I just kind of was running out of energy. I said, well, I could talk about how I created the toolkit and used it in the book from the trainings I was doing, particularly at LIMRA, that gave me my start 20 years ago. So I started there. Now, then I go into, all right, I've got 25, 40 minutes. I got a very little time with you tonight, and I can't tell you all the stories. And I'm looking at the clock going, holy crap. So I go to my next tool, and I have a storytelling template. There are lots and lots of ways to tell a story. If you want to study storytelling, you will find all sorts of techniques. This one I love because it has 3 parts. It's called the incident, the point, and the bridge. The incident, tell me what happened. Details only, please. You can leave out stuff. Don't bore me to death. 60% of your time will be spent here. Bring it to life. Make me see your characters and your environment. Okay? The point of the story. What conclusion should I draw from your story? It's got to have a point, right? And the best way to get you to stop talking about what happened and get to the point is this sentence starter. Write this down. The point of my story is, pause, summarize. That's like a 1 sentence, but that's what people are thinking. What's the point? Why is she telling me the story? What's the point of her story? And you will say, the point of my story is, and they will listen to you. They'll go, do, 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 right back with you. So you draw no more than 2 points from any story. 1 is better, 2 is pushing it. Now here's the third part, the bridge. How does this story connect to your audience and what you're doing here and now? Like in this moment, in this Soroptimist webinar, how does my Soroptimist story work? So this one just has some magic to it. Again, these can be like 1 or 2 sentences. So 20% in your point, 20% in your bridge or less. And sometimes I use the clunky sentence starter. The reason I'm telling you the story now is, and here's an example. Here's an example. Where is my example? Bridge. 1 second, my example has run away from me. I should be able to come up with a new example. Okay, here we go. For example, I'm telling you this story because it demonstrates why raising your hand for volunteer leadership opportunities can lead to profound personal and professional gains. And that's what we're doing here tonight. We're looking for profound personal and professional gains through storytelling. So I just put a bow around the whole story. Okay. Now you'll write this out. Let me just stop here. You'll write this out. And when you go to tell your story, you will not be robotic. You will not read it. It will not come out exactly the same way. It will flow. And you will be real. And you will see what you're talking about. You're going to see the characters, the room with the round chairs. You're going to see Leora Burns in your own eye. That's how you know you're starting to become high engagement and sensory. Because we want people to not have to look at the slides. We want people to see the slide in their mind, the slide of our story. which is a movie, right? It's a movie. So, questions about this tool? Or Peggy?
Yeah, I have a question. When I tell a story, I oftentimes don't tell the point because I feel that if I can tell the story clear enough, that the listener will have that aha moment and understand the power. And then they have, by gaining that power, the story becomes more memorable than my just saying, this is my story, this is my point, this is why. Then they become passive. Think it's helpful if they're engaged so they become active in what do you think about that?
I think that that is a really strategic choice, and you have to know your audience for that. I want to say there's a risk in it, but there's also magic in that, what you're talking about, leaving out everything and letting them fill in the blanks. But I have found in my business career that people can't read my minds, and you can check in. What did this mean to you? And everyone's going to have a different answer. So if you really need to land a point, you want to kind of direct them to what you were thinking. So it just depends on the situation. And again, so many different techniques with storytelling. So this storytelling template, incident, point, bridge is only one of probably hundreds.
I mean, I like it. I think it's a good tool. I just wonder if well, for me, it might be easier to have the point be a little less direct instead of saying, I'm not saying that I might not tell them some of the things I'm thinking, but instead of saying the point of my story is.
Yeah. And you may not need to say that because people like me, like I'm looking at the clock again. How did the time go so long? Why am I still talking so much? I have to get to the point. I have to prompt myself. So it just is again, optional. The other thing you can do with this tool and this technique, this template, is you can tip the story. You can tell them at the beginning where you're going. I'm going to tell you a story about a time that changed my entire view on life.
Right. I like that.
So they kind of know what's coming, right? But it's still vague. And then I get the thingy, and then I wrap the bow around it. So you can always tip a story as well. I found that can work super good. So let me ask Amina. I was going to do a volunteer. Do we have time? We have 10 minutes. It's probably not. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do one.
So,
Okay.
Kathy, I hate to interrupt, but you do have a question in the chat from
Oh, my
Carolyn.
goodness.
Oh, yeah.
She said, can you explain what you mean by what are you doing here and now? Are you asking yourself or the audience?
I'm asking you, the presenter. So the tool is asking you, why are you telling this story? Why did you choose to share this story today? Because we're talking about copy machines, or we're talking about recycling programs. So it might be a disconnect, but let me tell you, with some creativity, you can connect anything. You can truly connect anything. You just have to look for the logical connections or the creative connections. So you can, I've had people not do the bridge, just do the two parts storytelling, incident, point, let's move on. And that works too. But I think kind of at least for you, the strategic communicator, to answer the question. Like, why did you choose this story? Because if it doesn't fit and it doesn't serve, get a new one. You got thousands, right? So you may find that you work on a story, but it gets at the cut of the editing floor. It doesn't make the movie. You've got other things you can put in. And if you run out of time, maybe you don't do that last story. So you want to be flexible and have some things in your back pocket. And that's what I like about going PowerPoint free, slide free, because you're more nimble. No one knows that you didn't show the last 7 slides, but you know that I was going to do coaching, so I better damn well get doing it, right? Who wants to be a volunteer? I need someone short and sharp that I haven't heard from yet. to I'll coach you through. Just know that I'm going to interrupt you and redirect you, but you're going to survive and you're going to show off your fearlessness. Who wants to play? And I'll throw in a book for you too. Valerie. Okay. So Valerie's short and sharp, right? Okay. So let's put Valerie in the spotlight and I will share the spotlight with her. Can I share it? Yep. Add spotlight. So we're going to be side by side. Is that good? Okay. So Valerie, what story start did you choose?
With a lot of one of the work that I do, the uniqueness, and then a new project that I'm doing with like spirituality. So it was all kind of like what was my start in what I'm doing with caregiving.
Okay. Okay. So your start in the caregiving?
Yep.
Or the spirituality part?
Majority of it was more like my start, how I work with Native communities, the uniqueness of my work.
Okay. And okay. And did you, when you're thinking about that particular story, maybe that moment where you said, I'm going to do this, well, I'm going to prompt you to come up with a point of the story. Okay. So let's just say this is going to be a 3-minute story. So you have like 2 minutes to tell us the detail. Okay. So, what happened? What happened when you made the decision and started doing your caregiving work?
Life. Life happened. It's like you're young, you're working with your parents, and something happens, right? An injury, an illness, an accident. And when you're young, you're not really thinking about these things. And you're just kind of like go, go, go in your career. And the next thing you know, you're like, bam, you stop because now you're thinking for your parent, for what you're doing. And
Did
then what
this happen to you? Did this happen to you?
It's definitely happened to me, and it's happening to me now again with my dad.
Okay, so tell me that story. So you gave me kind of a general thing, and that's all well and good, but when it happens to you.
Oh, yes, exactly. And that's the thing about caregiving. And probably the issues in caregiving. Right now, it's one of the fast growing work, and it is work, but a lot of people don't get paid for it. They're family caregivers. But
Stop,
it's also
Larry, tell me the story of your dad and your caregiving of your dad. Tell me what happened briefly.
Yeah, I'm like,
Be vulnerable.
She had different things that were coming up, and right now I've been trying to prepare them for like, what are we going to do now? What about his retirement? Like, what was his wishes? What do we do with mom? What do we do with brother? Because my mom has onset dementia. My brother has autism. We're figuring out like, okay, who's doing this? What's going to here? What hospital he has to go to? What are we going to do now as we go forward? Especially now because on my birthday, he actually went into the hospital again. And now he's having dialysis because he has something's going on with his kidney, So things like that. Like these are things why you should prepare and think about because they can come up, like I said, accident, illness, and what are you going to do? How are you going to take care of that? And it's important to know these questions and have that relationship with your parents so that parent or whoever you're caring for, that you know their wishes and it makes things easier for you.
Okay. All right, ready? It's very interesting on your point. Let me ask the audience. Let's ask the group. What was the point of Valerie's story? Who wants to unmute and weigh in?
I believe it's preparation and getting family on board and facing the fact that we are an aging population and caregiving is going to be something that's going to be happening. Either we're all going through it now in some fashion or other, and we will be very soon.
Very nice, Marilyn. Others take away the same thing, the preparation, and we're all going to go through this.
I like
Similar,
that.
but I was going to say the complexity of our families can really draw on how much we're going to need to prepare, that they're multi-level and it's not always straightforward and easy. And having that community connection and having those resources are very important, and knowing everybody's wishes and where you're going next.
Beautiful.
And Valerie, I understand I'm going through some stuff with my mom right now.
Awesome.
And how you added in there, you already know, is the resources you said and connecting in the community that you need to have around you to do this because it's so important.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about Valerie's story is her nonprofit organization is supporting caregivers. So she's all about supporting caregivers, whether it's professional or, family home. And yet it's happening to her too. So she's seeing it from both sides. And so it is, it is part, as you said, life. It's life, right? It's life. And we got to be prepared for life. So I think this still needs a little more shaping, but you can tell, Valerie, that you engaged people. So how do we make this into a tighter story? Now you can have many stories that make this point, but it'd be really interesting to hear that, and it's happening to me right now. I thought I knew everything. I thought I had all the resources, but when it hits you, I mean, and that you may play that or that may not.
I usually say especially when I hit hard points, and I'll say these are the things that you need to be thinking about, like end of life, respite care, like what is even respite? And then, and I'll say, I'm not perfect though. I'm going through this now. And I've gone through where with my mom, things were smoother. And my team, we were so great. We were good. And I'm happy that how everything went about. Now with my dad, it's been a lot rockier because he's annoying. He's very stubborn. He's a man. And mom doesn't really help, because she has dementia and that drives me nuts, and that's where it's different. And, and I tell them that. I said, well, you just never know, like I said, my mom's side was like this and it was really good. But my dad's side has been a lot rougher, and, which way it goes, but being prepared is one of the biggest things that you need to do for yourself.
Excellent. Thank you for volunteering, Valerie. You have earned the book that you won earlier. Awesome. Okay, let's undo this and let's just see if we can land this plane. Okay, so these are 2 tools, and I find them useful. And what I'm really asking of all of you tonight is at least one story every presentation, at least a short story, 3 minutes. Shape the story nice and tight, one story per presentation. That's your budget. And so before you just start collecting all your slides and your data and your agenda, ask yourself, what story do I need to tell? What story do they need to hear? And do I have the courage to tell? Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Amina and Tracy. I think we have one more prize to give away.
Yes. Tracy,
So I was told that I could pick somebody from the chat, and this one was hard, and I'm going to pick someone named Wendy Green, and I'm going to tell you why. Wendy made a comment in the chat about receiving a Soroptimist award / scholarship while at university, and that just I think is a wonderful story. And I'm wondering if she could just tell us in a few words what that meant to her, and share that with us, please.
Oh, Tracy, thank you. Yeah, I had gone back to school as a single parent, and I went to the financial aid office, and I was like, I got to figure out how to pay for this, and so I just started applying for everything, and the Soroptimist came through, and I was like, who are the Soroptimists? And but it really made a difference. It really helped me stay in school and get my degree, and I'm so thankful for that. So, wow, thanks, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you for posting and sharing that with us. That is the reason why we do what we do, to help women such as yourself and to hear your stories. It's very, very important to keep us motivated and keep our potential members and our engaged community motivated. So thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations, Wendy. And I think Wendy has a copy of this book already. So I'm going to just sub her out. I'm going to give her 3 free coaching sessions because I know she wants to take her presentation skills to the next level. And she's already naturally gifted, so I can't wait to work with her. Okay, so reminders. You can see the video of the recording of today's video on either the Soroptimist Facebook page, which I encourage you to like them and follow them and their work, or on the Fearless Leader community page on Mighty Networks, which is free to join. All of our coffee chat recordings are there. In fact, tomorrow at noon, Diane Bennett, who's over here on the screen, she is going to be my guest host for our monthly coffee chat. And we're going to be kind of kicking around the word performance, and see how we feel and think about that word. And she's an awesome facilitator and coach. So I think you're going to enjoy hanging out. It's going to be 12 to 1 Eastern. That's on my website, fearlessleader.com thefearlessleader.com/events. So you can register for that. It is free. So let me turn it over to Amina to wrap this up.
Thank you, everyone, for joining it this evening. And I put in the chat that how to find us, how to find our club and learn more about Soroptimist. But more importantly, we have a post surveys for you that if you completed the survey, and you will have a chance to win Kathy's book, Fearless Female Leaders. I have a copy right in front of me. You may not see it. And with Kathy, yes, the book's right there and the survey. And please reach out to us and complete the survey. We want to hear from you. What topic do you interested? And how are we doing tonight? What do you learn from us tonight? And Kathy and I will stay back for a few more minutes if anyone have questions. But other than that, thank you for joining us tonight. And write your story, have a meaning to it, and connect with it. I would love to hear more from you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to stop recording. Thank you all for coming, and have a fearless, story-filled week. Take care.
Thank you.